And you were looking live there at Bleckley County High School in Cochran, Georgia, where in a mere matter of moments, five-star offensive tackle and the number one player in the state of Georgia for the class of 2021, Amarius Mims, is set to make his college decision. We're pleased to bring you coverage of that here on the Dog Nation video channels today on this Kroger Commitment Special. Hello, everybody. I am Brandon Adams. Welcome into our Dog Nation World Headquarters studios. Today, I'll be anchoring our coverage from here. Jeff Sentell, Connor Riley, they are on hand in Bleckley County. The man of the hour you also see there on your screen. In a moment, you'll see him on the podium that I showed you just a mere matter of seconds ago when Amarius Mims makes his decision. One of the most contested recruiting battles thus far in the class of 2021 for Georgia and the other programs that have been involved. Tennessee has been thought to be a heavy suitor for Mims services as well. If you think about Georgia's top competition here today, you probably think about the Tennessee Vols being that. That may not have always been the case. At one point in time, maybe Mims would have said, and I think Jeff Sentell's even reported this at Dog Nation, that maybe Mims had a close connection to Alabama, maybe even considered himself an Alabama fan, but it's likely to be Georgia and Tennessee that Mims chooses today. Obviously, the work being done by Georgia offensive line coach Matt Luke has been pivotal in this recruitment thus far. Luke, who's a guy that's already had major success for Georgia as offensive line coach after stepping in place of Sam Pittman, who after last season left to become Arkansas head coach. When you think about the big wins for Georgia in the class of 2020, guys like Broderick Jones, guys like Tate Ratledge, very contested recruitments that had to be won. Cedric Von Prawn pulling him out of the state of Louisiana, never an easy feat. Chad Lindbergh coming out of the state of Texas, Devin Willock as well. Obviously, Matt Luke proved himself and his value to Georgia as a recruiting guru. In the class of 2021, the Dogs have, for the most part, picked up right where they left off in the class of 2020 when it comes to those offensive line recruits. Micah Morris expects to project very well at the next level. Dylan Fairchild is a prospect and now a Georgia commit who's come on pretty heavily. As you see Amarius Mims getting seated and getting settled, we will go to him as soon as they are ready to make that announcement. Mims could join what is, I was saying before, is already a pretty deep crop of offensive linemen for the class of 2021. Jared Wilson, a part of that group there as well. It has been proven that Matt Luke is capable of winning the same kind of high-powered offensive line recruiting battles that in the past Sam Pittman proved that he was capable of doing, but few have been bigger than the one that's going to unfold here in just a couple of minutes when Amarius Mims, the five-star offensive tackle, gets set to make his college decision, choosing between a host of offers, but primarily what is thought to be a Georgia versus Tennessee battle for Mims right now. We'll look forward to bringing you coverage of that. We certainly appreciate our friends at Kroger for making all of this possible. Let me also remind you, Kroger also a proud sponsor of the Atlanta Braves as well as you head towards the postseason. Getting ready to watch some National League Championship Series ball tonight or heading towards the rest of these playoffs. You can get stocked up for all your game-watching party needs right there at Kroger. Go to Kroger.com. You can find out a lot more about that. As you see Amarius Mims on your screen there, these looks of possibly maybe a little nervousness on the part of Mims. Obviously, this is a decision he's been pondering over for quite some time. Maybe feeling now that anxiety of knowing that the world is watching him, and certainly the college football world indeed, as he gets ready to make his decision. You see a little bit of nervousness maybe on the family members who've joined him there. No real tip-off in terms of the gear, unless it's going to be unveiled to reveal some Georgia gear there. I see some black shirts on the screen. That's obviously matching Georgia colors, but I don't know that you read too much into that right now. No hats on the table. That's typically something that you see in announcements like that, but we don't see that for Mims right now. We just see a family about to experience what is a very proud moment, a chance to make this college announcement and to be well received by the thousands, the fans of the school that he does pick. Obviously, for Georgia, we know how big this would be. As I said before, Mims right now, the number one player in the state of Georgia. He's in a battle with a couple of Alabama commits, Tommy Brockmeyer and J.C. Latham, to be the number one overall offensive tackle, according to the 24/7 Sports Composite. That battle expected to be ongoing throughout the rest of the year, and many people believe that Mims can emerge the nation's top offensive tackle before it's all said and done. He's the number 6 recruit nationally for the class of 2021 as well, so it's certainly become commonplace for us to be speaking on these Kroger Commitment Specials about elite recruits, but few bring better accolades, more impressive resumes than what Amarius Mims brings to the table here, of course, as he represents his hometown of Cochran, Georgia, and Bleckley County High School. And we are just now very, very soon on the way to Amarius Mims making his college decision. And the moment he's ready to talk, we'll go there so we can start to hear that all. In fact, I'll get the heads up when it's time to go ahead and turn the proceedings over there in Cochran, Georgia, and Bleckley County to Mims and everything that's going on there. We'll also give you a chance to kind of weigh in with some of your comments here, too, as we await the news from Mims here, and certainly the college football world watching with bated breath right now as he gets ready to make that announcement. Boy, you just love these moments for the families. They get a chance to participate in this. You love that. I am colorblind, so I'm not always great at this, but Mike Catula checking in to say that the mom does have on what appears to be red nail polish. So that's probably pretty good. Dante Edie says the audio is low. We may need to bring the audio up here just a little bit then. Thank you, Dante, for weighing in on that. Ben Thomason checking in with some red and black. We certainly appreciate that on your side there as well. Looking forward to getting Amarius Mims' announcement here coming up in just a moment. You see the microphone getting moved a little closer there for Mims. Get ready to make his choice, make his announcement. And just as soon as I get the thumbs up, that's when we'll go and let the proceedings there at Bleckley County High School lead the way here, and I'll keep you company until that goes down. So Mims is right there in the center, both in the center of the screen and the center of attention in the college football world here today. The recruiting eyes on him as he's getting close to making his announcement. He's got a screen in front of him. I'm not quite sure what he's looking at on the screen, but he's clearly looking at something there on that. Family also having a good time enjoying that with him right now. Mike Evans also pointing out the fact that Mims, who's been thought to be choosing between Georgia and Tennessee, getting ready to make his announcement fresh off a Georgia victory over Tennessee on the field this past Saturday. Certainly you can't imagine that hurts Georgia's chances here with this. So that's also on the mind of folks here today. Of course, it's great to have you as part of our Kroger Commitment Special, where Amarius Mims will make his announcement in just a moment. Noah Sheldon on our YouTube page, dreaming of the possibility of Amarius Mims on one side as an offensive tackle, and in the future year, Broderick Jones, the class of 2020 signee, on another. Certainly that's fun to think about. Wally Smith also thinking about some more big wins that Georgia could have, including the one from Amarius Mims today. Fun to think about that. If Mims does join this 2021 class, he'd become the second five-star as a part of this class, joining what has really become kind of a good friend of his, it seems like anyway, these fast friendships that can be formed in recruiting with five-star quarterback commit Brock Vandegrift. Vandegrift has made Mims a priority, and it seems like thus far the overtures by Vandegrift and his family to Mims have proven pretty fruitful, as Vandegrift, because of his home located very close to the city of Athens, has been a megawatt recruiter for Georgia at a time in which the coaching staff's hands have been tied due to the coronavirus lockdown. For Mims and so many of the other 2021 prospects who will be making their decisions in the weeks to come, their recruiting process just very different. They don't have the benefit right now of official visits the way that their predecessors in the recruiting game might have had. Their own high school seasons, in some case, made very different as well. Georgia impacted less than some other states, but this is a year in which that the recruiting process has just been greatly upended by the virus, the same way that almost every other walk of life is. And in years to come, I'm sure we will look back on 2021, this recruiting cycle, as one that just stood as a huge outlier, and obviously some of the recruiting after effects of that we may be feeling here for a while there as well. T. Wills 11 likes the idea of putting Amarius Mims in the field for Georgia this upcoming Saturday, so he's clearly excited about what they hope is good news here for Georgia here in a moment. Noah Sheldon also talking about some of the other big recruiting wins as of late, guys like Cedric Von Prawn, a major win for the class of 2020, Clay Webb, also a recent pull out of the state of Alabama from Georgia, and another five-star offensive line signee. This is a position group that the Dogs have done very well with, and Mims would be the latest, and another big trophy for relatively new Georgia offensive line coach Matt Luke to take advantage of. So really good stuff all the way around there. A lot of folks feeling pretty good about the Mims decision, feel like he is going to choose UGA. Derek Walker says once this goes down, it's going to make the Georgia offensive line looking good for the future, and that's certainly a fun thing to think about. Eric Draven, listen, this is kind of a theme for us here on our Kroger recruiting specials. We get everybody in place. There's always a little bit of a delay before you get a chance to actually make that announcement, so we'll wait things out with Mims here just for a little bit. But Gary Strickland ready to welcome him home as a big dog, and obviously there's an excitement anytime you can keep one of the top players in the state at home. That's something that Georgia fans love the idea of. Georgia obviously loves great recruiting wins across the country, and they've had plenty of those. But there's also something really exciting to be said for when you can convince top players in the state of Georgia, because it is such a talent-rich state, when you can convince them to stay at home. And that's what Georgia has a chance to do with Amarius Mims right now. A few more of your comments, then hopefully at that point in time we'll start to see some chatter coming out of Cochran, Georgia, and we'll turn it over to them there at that time. Billy Hurley says, time for Amarius Mims to tell the world that he's a dog. Shannon Lee says, we need these big guys, and along the lines of scrimmage on both the offensive and defensive line, certainly a big part of the Georgia success and something we're looking forward to seeing a lot more of to come. Scott Cruz says the mailman going to deliver Amarius Mims to Georgia. Well, it seems like the mailman Stetson Bennett has delivered a little bit of everything to the Dogs as of late, so maybe he can kind of help with some of this there as well. All right, we're going to continue to get some chatter coming in here. Daniil Calvino checking in on this. Good to see you. Steve Harrelson checking in with the Go Dogs. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jeff Bowman liking the idea of adding to this. Let's go live here to
Yes,
Cochran,
sir.
Georgia.
Well, I
so
mean, I
apparently
wasn't
we're-
always this size. I mean, I started growing, I'll probably say, after my freshman year when I had surgery after basketball season. So I grew like 6, 7 inches after that. I mean, to be honest with you, no, it just came out of nowhere. It was surprising. So very physical. I say a very physical football player. Yes, sir. I mean, they get in front of him, I have to block him, so. Yes, sir. I mean, it started off slow, then started gaining. Probably say started my junior year, then it just went uphill from there. Yes, sir. I'll probably say Coach Saban the most. Yes, sir. I mean, during the summer we started preparing a lot with our offensive line coach, so we kind of split up into groups. So we started very early. Well, I'll be taking my talents to the University of.
So you hear there from Amarius Mims making that decision. The Georgia Bulldogs, the answer for him, putting on the big Georgia chain, the Georgia shirt. Sounds like he's still talking. Let's go back and hear a little bit more of what Amarius Mims has to say there.
So that's what stood out. I mean, he said, well, I mean, he didn't promise me anything, but he said, as long as I come in and play, as long as I come in and practice hard, play good, I'll be in rotation, so that's all I need. Hope to do good, 3 years and out. Oh, yeah. On sports management. I mean, hopefully they get the win, so. Yes, sir. Well, I mean, to me, he left last year by Isaiah Wilson. Oh, I was saying Isaiah Wilson. Go Dogs. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He said I'm good.
24/7 Sports Director of Recruiting, Mark Simmons.
All right, so there you have it. Amarius Mims makes the decision. Big news for the Georgia Bulldogs, the class of 2021. The Georgia shirt is on. The Georgia necklace is on. You got a chance to hear him in the interview that he was conducting there. We also hope to get a chance to check in with Mims ourselves here in a moment. Our Dog Nation recruiting insider Jeff Sentell on the scene there in Cochran, Georgia. Well-deserved round of applause for him. This special moment. We haven't had a lot of these in schools with parents and coaches and friends and attendants. It's nice to see Mims not only making his college decision today, but getting a chance to kind of bring us back to a time in which we used to do these things frequently and regularly. And it's nice to see the world, at least for today, getting back to normal with Amarius Mims making his college announcement right there. As I said before, this becomes the 16th member of Georgia's 2021 class, the second of the five-star variety, joining Brock Vandegrift, five-star quarterback. Mims is now the 10th prospect as a member of the Georgia 2021 class, rated as a four-star or better. So Georgia, big doings here for the class of 2021. Jeff Sentell and some audio that I did play for you this morning on Dog Nation Daily did say that you should be cautious. This recruiting battle might be ongoing beyond today. The programs that take the L here today might be looking to continue this moving forward. So we'll continue to follow that. And something else to follow as it relates to Mims is the possibility they could earn the status as the nation's #1 offensive tackle by the time the 2021 cycle is over. He currently ranks as the #2 offensive tackle and the #1 prospect in the state of Georgia. No one has to have it explained to you how big all of this is for the Dogs. In many ways, this is literally the biggest prospect that Kirby Smart has signed. You see him towering as he stands up at 6'8", well north of 300 pounds, and certainly he's adding a few pounds with that gold chain that he's also wearing around his neck. I will apologize for our Facebook audience. We had a little bit of a Facebook issue. That is, Facebook itself was impacted here during the broadcast. So for those of you tuning in on Facebook, I know that was a source of frustration. We apologize to you for that. If you want to move over to YouTube, you can get uninterrupted coverage. In fact, you can actually rewatch the YouTube broadcast from the beginning, and you can see the moment in which Mims chose Georgia, if that's what you'd like to be able to do. And, of course, stick with us here live. We hope you get a chance to hear from Mims in just a moment as he hopefully talks to our Jeff Sentell about why it is that he makes this decision, what goes down, and then we'll try to catch up with Jeff Sentell here before we're done on the ground there at Bleckley County High School. And you see the Bleckley County logo there in the screen behind you. J-Dog says to check out Brock Vandegrift on Twitter. No doubt he's having a good time right now. Marcinio says we did move over to YouTube, so I certainly appreciate you doing that. YouTube, obviously, a pretty reliable video platform. Devin Glenn says, will Mims help recruit other elite players? I'll point you to something that Amarius Mims did on Twitter just the other day. Remember the brief exchange he had on Twitter with five-star linebacker Smile Mondon? As a kind of a preview for the announcement that Mims was set to make today, he reached out to Smile Mondon on Twitter, and Mondon certainly seemed to appreciate that from him. So I do think you have some social media evidence that Amarius Mims is looking to be a big-time recruiter for the Georgia Bulldogs. And maybe Smile Mondon is the next domino to fall here. Ironic is that at one point in time, Mondon was also a guy thought to have some ties to Tennessee. Now it's thought to be more of a Georgia-Auburn battle for Smile Mondon. But I think the word on the street is that Amarius Mims, who is pretty well connected with a lot of these elite recruits for the class of 2021, that Mims will be influential in other guys making their decision the same way that guys like Brock Vandegrift may have been influential in Mims' decision. All right, we are going to get a few more comments here. We'll try to check back in with Bleckley County in just a moment. A lot of folks weighing in on the YouTube side of things. Ace Dog says it's a great land, and yeah, it really is. It's one of the most important battles that Georgia could win for the class of 2021, and the fact that Georgia has done that, really kind of bringing an end to any of the discussion that exists during the summer of, and we were obviously a part of some of this ourselves, but the lack of what seemed like Georgia recruiting momentum for a while. There's been enough online chatter about other recruits and now a public pledge from Amarius Mims that any concern that Georgia was not on target for another elite class, where it's ranked when it's all said and done, remains to be seen. But in the upper echelon of college football recruiting, any thought that Georgia wouldn't be there, I believe, is put to rest now that Mims has gone public and announced his declaration. And, not to be spiteful here, but if you want to go back to the spring when the story at the time during the coronavirus lockdown was the incredible work that Jeremy Pruitt was doing on the recruiting trail. We said at the time that pretty clearly Pruitt's a good recruiter, better than what Butch Jones had been, but there wasn't a lot of smoke, or I should say a lot of fire connected to the smoke around Tennessee recruiting, because for the most part, Tennessee was not winning the head-to-head battles against programs like Georgia and maybe even Alabama, teams that it really needed to go head-to-head with. It was collecting highly rated recruits, but not necessarily the recruits that were on a program like Georgia's radar. Well, Mims the latest example of that Tennessee is winning some recruiting battles, but not necessarily going head-to-head and knocking down the dogs anytime soon. And Amarius Mims making the decision is right there. David Etheridge on the subject of Jeff Sentell doing an interview. Yeah, we hope to be able to bring that to you here in just a minute. Jeff Sentell with Amarius Mims. Dog Fan 3 asked about T.J. Ferguson, the Alabama commit at one point in time was on Georgia's radar. I guess that's a name that you'll keep paying attention to here throughout the rest of the way, and we'll continue to follow that and see what Georgia looks to add as far as offensive linemen the rest of the way here. Joshua Simmons says that this is all part of the best week in Georgia sports history. Obviously, maybe a precursor to a win against Alabama, and if I'm guessing that Joshua's also referencing the play of the Braves thus far in the National League Championship Series. So, Joshua, maybe you will turn out to be right about that. Anthony Spano says Kirby's played the long game since he's been at UGA. I figured after 5 years you would have figured that out by now. So obviously Anthony feeling pretty confident right now. Christian McFather says get the ball rolling, Mims, and maybe that ball could be rolling. There could be other elite prospects set to join here Georgia very soon. Bubby Dean says great job by Matt Luke for keeping this dog on the home porch. Yeah, you like the idea of that. A lot of the big wins for Luke over the course of the last couple of cycles, whether it be Chad Lindbergh, Broderick Jones, Tate Ratledge, Cedric Von Prawn for the class of 2020, Amarius Mims joining prospects like Micah Morris and Dylan Fairchild here for the class of 2021. We're going to go live back to Bleckley County. Let's check in right now with Jeff Sentell.
Second visit after Tate Ratledge, so let you know how important I am. So, I mean, if I'm that important, so that's how it was.
What was the feedback from mom and dad? How did they help you with this?
I mean, that was just like, we can't tell you to go anywhere. Like, wherever you're happy, we're happy. So, that was just, they helped me out through the recruiting process for like 2 years now. So, that was just like, you're grown, you get to make a decision. Like, it's up to you, so.
What's it like committing via Zoom? Not the way you dreamed it up to be.
Yeah, but it's good, man. National TV, because, it helps, like, getting to college and stuff. So, I already have experience on TV and all that good stuff.
How have they presented it to you that you can come in and work and win time? There's a lot of tackles there. There's a lot of good offensive linemen. How do you look at your situation to play it through?
As of right now, like I was looking at the game, I see a guard starting at left tackle right now. So, pretty sure he's probably leaving this year or next year. So, I got a chance to come in. It might be my spot. So,
did your thing go Alabama? Because that was your dream school, the one you always wanted.
Yes, sir.
Then it went to Georgia. Did it ever waver where you thought you were going to Tennessee here?
Yeah. I did like a couple months ago. I thought I was going to be at Tennessee just a couple months ago. After I started like going to like visit, I was going to Georgia. I started going to Georgia, Tennessee back to back. And I was like, I actually like Tennessee because first it was like Georgia when Coach Pittman was there. Then they like switched from Bama after he left. Then it was Tennessee. Then I just like realized Georgia was where I need to be.
So it sounds like Tennessee is still the biggest threat here. Is that they finished number 2? Is that the one school that has the chance to flip you still, you think?
Yes, sir.
How can Georgia retain your commitment? What do they have to do?
Be consistent.
Did the Georgia staff know? You didn't tell them at all?
Yes, sir. Coach Luke.
All right, looks like the interview is completed there with Amarius Mims in Bleckley County, Cochran, Georgia. He kind of going through some of the recruiting process, as we mentioned before. Mims maybe growing up a little bit of an Alabama fan, maybe initially viewing that as a dream school, although eventually arriving at the idea of the Georgia Bulldogs are the dream come true for him as he makes that pledge, that commitment to Georgia. The thought process has been that he was choosing Georgia over the Tennessee Vols, and that's the way that goes down. We're going to try to catch up with Jeff Sentell ourselves here let him give us some more thoughts on exactly what he experienced there in Cochran, Georgia, Bleckley County. Let me take a couple of comments before we get there. And I love the idea of what somebody mentioned a moment ago about this potentially being a very great week in Georgia sports as the Braves continue their run to the National League Championship Series. Georgia has a chance to knock off Alabama on the field in Tuscaloosa on Saturday and taking down a whole host of SEC rivals in recruiting here right now. A very fun thing to think about all the way around. All right, a few more of your comments here. I guess we're YouTube only for the moment. Nathaniel Hall checking in late. Yes, so Mims has made his announcement, Nathaniel. He, as you see on the screen, has committed to Georgia. So Georgia gets a big one with 5-star Amarius Mims here. Noah Sheldon feeling good about Georgia against Florida later on. Leslie Queen representing Bleckley County in the comments section. Leslie, I'd love to be able to see that. Thanks for checking in on that. Frank Patterson says, who's the next one to commit now? And that's always the next big question to come. And that's what our eyes will be on here for future commits. And obviously impacted by the current timeline of the absence of visits. A lot of these guys have said they don't feel like they need to take more visits. They're ready to make their decision. So we'll have our eyes open and our ears to the ground. Excuse me. We'll have our ears to the ground for all of that. All right, more of your comments. We'll try to catch up with Jeff Sentell here in a moment. On the field, Levi Thomas says, want to see Jermaine Burton targeted more on Saturday, and that's certainly something a lot of Georgia fans would like to be able to see. Chris Glenn, as far as, maybe not the next commit to the G, but certainly targets that'll be heavily talked about right now. He's thinking about Corey Foreman and what could eventually happen with him. There's been a little bit more chatter with Mason Smith as of late as well. So a lot going on with all of that. Bill Kibbe, like so many others have, kind of shouting out Matt Luke and the work that Luke has done as a part of the 2021 class for Georgia. And really, there have been very few misses for Luke when it comes to big-time offensive linemen. He's been incredible with all of that. And Amarius Mims, with due respect to the others, this may be as big as any that Georgia has had. And certainly when it comes to the actual size and stature, there will be few bigger than what Amarius Mims does, standing 6'8", a towering recruit. And we are back on Facebook. Okay, that's good to know. So those of you back on Facebook, you've joined us just in time. Amarius Mims has committed to Georgia. We brought that announcement to you. If you missed the video footage of the Mims decision on YouTube, we've been live the entire time. And not that I want you to stop listening to me now, but you can actually go back to the beginning of the YouTube broadcast, even while it's still ongoing. And so if you want to see Mims pull off the sweatshirt, to reveal the Georgia shirt, to put the big Georgia chain around his neck, if you want to go back and see that, you'll have a chance to do that right now. So if you're on Facebook, you want to move over to YouTube and see that, or if you want to stay here, we'll hopefully catch up with Jeff Sentell here in a moment. So we'll try to. So Jeff Sentell's ready to go. Okay, that's good to know. I wasn't aware of that. All right, so Jeff Sentell is ready to go. Let's get ready to speak to him there in Bleckley County. And Jeff, a moment ago, you had a chance to be there live to hear this all go down. What was it like to be in the room?
Well, Brandon, it's weird. I asked Amarius, you guys heard it, and obviously you can hear me. This is the first time I've ever done a live commitment hit inside a face mask. But, I thought it was really funny. You have him hunched over a computer. It's a Zoom commitment. I've never seen one like that. I know Amarius, he said he never dreamed of seeing another one, dreamed that it was going to be like that. But let me just cut to the chase. Here's what everybody's talking about. He stands up, he unzips his jacket, and we came up with a name for it, a commitment chain, which he put around his neck. Brandon, what did you think about the commitment chain? That was a new one, and how quickly are you going to get on Amazon or another affiliated merchandiser and try to find you a commitment chain?
Yeah, listen, I'd wear the commitment chain on the show tomorrow if I could get one. Like the Miami song where they're like, turnover chain, turnover chain. I could get behind a commitment chain, commitment chain, commitment chain. I could get behind that.
Maybe it needs to be mailed out, and then that's the one that maybe Corey Foreman would use, or that's the one that Mason Smith would use, or Terry and Arnold would use,
I'm
or
here
Kyle
for
London would use.
I am here for
Nyland Green. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm here for all of that. It was a great moment, and it sounds like for you to be in the room there a little bit different than the norm, and yet on video, Jeff, to me it kind of brought me back to the kind of thing that we've done so many times here, where you did get a chance to have what looked to be coaches and family members and certainly some applause from some friends. It was nice to see people being able to get together and celebrate this moment with the young man. I don't know that the recruits themselves know how different this process has been for them. They may be much older before they realize that, but so many of these guys have been robbed of so many life experiences because of the pandemic that we've dealt with. To see a little bit of personal touch added to the Mims decision, to see people in the room with him today, I tell you, that was very refreshing for me, Jeff.
I tell you what, I will always remember this one. Right now, you've got folks in Cochran, Georgia, Bleckley County. Let me act like a true son of the South here and say that a couple people that know him really well are hugging necks.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody that was raised in the South knows what that means. But everybody's got masks on. I think I've seen 7, maybe 6 affiliated Georgia masks. I see a Bulldog old school logo. I see a new school logo. Everybody's moving around every 15 minutes from their spots in the crowd because, they want to practice social distancing. It's just different. And this is what a 5-star commitment looks like in the pandemic age. But you see Mims, he's very happy. His position coach gave me a great quote that I saved for this story today. And he says, Mims is like a big German shepherd. He's a guy that will come into you. He's a guy that will come into the room and he'll give you a big hug. He'll just always want to jump on you like that lovable dog that everybody has, most people have in their rooms. He is so massive, Brandon. He's 6'8" and a half. He's a true 320 pounds, but yet you see him around people, just the biggest smile. He's got a smile that probably belongs in a toothpaste commercial, just full of a lot of energy and a lot of life. And, this is his big day, and he's still got to have his big day. I see him right now taking pictures with everyone in his family gathered around. This is still a great commitment. And I know, Brandon, you'll kind of think about this for a second as you process it. This recruitment is not over.
Yeah.
He says he's still going to be committed. He said he still needs Georgia to be consistent in their recruiting. But at the same time, he also said that his 2 biggest targets was going after would be Corey Foreman and Mason Smith. Those are the guys he was talking to. A funny story I heard from Amarius right before we went on the air was he told me, he said, Brock sent him a text. Brock Vandegrift sent him a text, and he says, if you don't commit to Georgia, man, I'm going to kill you. Something along those lines. I mean, he said Brock didn't even know the real answer. No coaches knew the real answer. And let's trace, I guess, the commitment story here for Amarius Mims. Longtime Alabama fan. That was his dream school. He loved Alabama. Then Sam Pittman pulled Georgia ahead. Georgia was going to get his commitment, would have had it by now if Sam Pittman was the head coach. Then Pittman leaves. He said it was really big. The second visit that Matt Luke made, he told him his second visit after Tate Ratledge was to go see big Amarius Mims in the state of Georgia. That still makes an impression on him today. And his commitment day as he chooses Georgia. He brought that story up, and he said, I know you heard this one, Brandon. He said a couple of months ago he was feeling Tennessee, and Georgia had to turn his eye and his heart away from Tennessee over the summer, and they did so. He said he learned. He figured it out on his own last night, yesterday, the day before his 18th birthday, that he wanted to be a Georgia Bulldog.
How much do you think, and maybe you had a chance to even ask Mims this a moment ago, how much do you think the result on the field on Saturday, another dominant win for Georgia, did that impact this decision at all for Mims? Because there had been some internet chatter about Mims in Tennessee prior to that, some online chatter. How much do you think the result on the field Saturday may have played a role in any of this?
You know what he mentioned, Brandon, about that? He didn't say the dominant win was the factor so much as he noticed Georgia out there, and he saw Georgia, who had a guard starring and shining at left tackle, playing at left tackle, and he knew that, likely he's hearing with Jamari Salyer that it looks like he said that he's going to go to the NFL next year. So the way he looked at that game, he saw a left tackle, which was a former guard, playing well, which showed him, A, Georgia doesn't have the tackles it needs right now still, and B, that guy might be gone. So really what he saw was not a chest-beating win from Georgia. What he saw was a job opportunity, an ability to come in and play, and if he works hard, earns his spot, be in and out in 3 years.
And he did attend the game on Saturday. I know it was expected that he would. Did we ever confirm that Mims actually did attend the game on Saturday as planned?
Yeah, he was watching the game. He said in his comments that he was watching the game on Saturday. He was at the game.
Hey, really quickly, a couple things. We'll let you go because I know there's still a lot to do there in Bleckley County. Dogs57 on YouTube was asking if Mims does maintain his Georgia pledge, does he plan on being an early enrollee? Is it too soon to know that yet?
No, he's definitely an early enrollee. Wherever he goes, he will be an early enrollee. He made that fact pretty clear. He's an Under Armour All-American for the 2021 cycle. He's sitting there right now getting cards. It's funny, some people get, I guess it's a birthday card. It's kind of funny. He does commit on his 18th birthday, so some of his family members are handing him a card on his commitment day. That's unique. We haven't seen that before, but, you know, Big Mims, I call him Mount Mims because he's a mountain of a man, but he's made his decision. He's holding up the number one finger. And right now, my man, Brandon, he certainly seems happy that he's a Georgia Bulldog.
All right, last thing for you, Jeff. How instrumental was Brock Vandegrift in this recruitment? We'd certainly heard plenty about that. And this famed, back of the truck bed photo that so many of these elite recruits, Mims himself was a part of. How instrumental will that day be in the 2021 class when all the stories can be told and all the hay is in the barn? How big of a day was that Athens visit that these guys took together that Amarius Mims was a part of?
Well, that was quite I tell you, Brandon, we said it before, that's going to be a good name, image, and likeness Ford truck or pickup truck ad where he laughed when someone said in his post-commitment comments, somebody said there's probably $100 million in the back of that truck. And he kind of laughed because he said, certainly there's $100 million, Ben. Brandon, there might be $100 million in one pair of Nikes in the back of that truck with all those young men that were in the back. And remember, he did say his ideal targets, Brandon. I'm sure if you could script out what Amarius Mims would say on his commitment day or the guys he's going after, you would have wanted him to speak the word Corey Foreman and Mason Smith into existence, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, great to think about, Jeff. Great coverage from you guys, you and Connor Riley there in Bleckley County. I know there's a lot more to be told as far as the stories. We'll look forward to reading those from you at DogNation.com. Obviously, Before the Hedges, presented by Kroger, here coming up very soon, too. Jeff, thanks so much for tireless efforts there on the ground in Cochran. Obviously, Georgia's gotten some good news today, and certainly we appreciate you there to help narrate that experience. We'll look forward to talking to you soon.
Yep, I think the commitment chain is available through Google. I think it's only $14.95. It might wind up being a nice memento from a future first-round offensive tackle in a couple of seasons. The commitment chain, that's what I'll remember out of this.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. That's a pretty good thing right there. I wouldn't mind getting my hands on that commitment chain, sure. If that thing shows up on eBay somewhere, don't think I wouldn't be putting in a bid on that at some point in time. That's pretty nice stuff to think about all the way around, as five-star offensive tackle Amarius Mims has made his pledge to the Georgia Bulldogs today. If you're curious about the rankings, Georgia shoots up in a big way on this. Coming into today, Georgia 14th in the 24/7 Sports Composite Team ranking. They jump up to 7th, one spot ahead now of Tennessee, despite the fact that the Dogs have 9 fewer commitments than Tennessee does. Georgia now does move ahead of Tennessee in the composite team ranking. So Tennessee obviously reeling here from a recruiting standpoint a little bit after the early spring momentum was the talk of the college football world, not maintaining that now that programs like Georgia are really sinking their teeth into this 2021 class. Georgia now moving ahead of Tennessee for the cycle, also moving ahead of Tennessee, at least for now. And as Jeff Sentell says, this is a recruitment that will be ongoing, but at least for now, with five-star offensive tackle Amarius Mims. So let me kind of set the stage for you here. First of all, huge thanks to our friends at Kroger for making all this possible. As I said before, and as somebody in our comment section said there as well, this is a fun week in Georgia sports. Amarius Mims makes his pledge right now, leading into the Braves in the National League Championship Series from Arlington, Texas, against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And by the way, wouldn't that have been a weird thing to try to explain to somebody as recently as a year ago? But nonetheless, that goes down tonight, Game 3. The Braves look to take a commanding 3-0 lead in that series. And, of course, Kroger is a proud sponsor of the Atlanta Braves as they move through the playoffs. So you're getting settled in for game-watching parties and everything else. You can get stocked up for everything you need right there at Kroger. If you go to Kroger.com, you can learn all you need to about that. Then it heads into a big weekend for us. Big coverage coming up from Tuscaloosa. I'm excited about seeing what could be another big Georgia win this week against the Crimson Tide on the field after knocking down a whole bunch of SEC foes for Amarius Mims in recruiting here right now. So go to DogNation.com, read more about Amarius Mims. Check out Before the Hedges presented by Kroger, as Jeff Sentell will tell you more of kind of the behind-the-scenes stories for how things went down with Mims here today. And then tomorrow morning back at 10 a.m. for Dog Nation Daily. I'll look forward to being back with you then. Congratulations goes out to the Dog for the class of 2021, picking up a massive 5-star prospect. Amarius Mims, the offensive tackle. Good time to be a Dog fan. Have a great evening, everybody, and we'll look forward to talking to you again very soon.